Hello, hello. Good afternoon. Hoping there are some people out there who are tuning in for the nutrition presentation today. So I will wait and see if I have some people joining before I begin. And I hope everyone, oh, someone said hello. Hope everyone is having a good day. All right. Got a few of you who have tuned in, so that's great. And as I understand, this video will be also provided on YouTube. So if you can't make it, or if your friends can't make it, you can certainly share this video with them later. All right. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself and get started. My name is Emily Morrison. And I want to actually first thank my friend Shannon for introducing me to George. And thank you, George, for allowing me to do a nutrition presentation on your Facebook page for Joint Effort Exercise. This is my first time doing a Facebook Live, so I'm a little nervous. But I feel ready to talk to you guys. I'm excited to share nutrition information that I usually share with my one-on-one clients. So this is definitely a different platform for me, but I'm looking forward to being here today. So let me share a little bit about my background, and then I'll get into my journey to plant-based eating, and then I'd love to share some nutrition information with you. And I will be highlighting my nutrition motto that really helped me develop and sustain a plant-based eating lifestyle. And I'm going to be focusing on just two major components today: plant-based protein and fiber, fabulous fiber. So there is a lot to talk about in both of those topics. So I tried to organize myself so I wouldn't go too far. But I'm hoping that there's an opportunity to maybe come back and share more information with you at some point. So but as I said, I'm Emily Morrison. I am actually a CrossFit coach and nutrition coach at Guilford CrossFit and Athletic Center. I'll take you back a couple years, well, more than a couple years, to 2012 when I earned my bachelor's in science degree in exercise science and health promotion from Colorado State University. Shortly after, in 2013, I became an ISSA certified personal trainer. And in 2015, I became an ISSA certified fitness nutrition specialist. So, um, so as I mentioned, I am a nutrition coach. And I'm currently actually working towards prerequisite courses so I can start coursework for grad school. And in grad school, I will be studying clinical nutrition and functional medicine. So I'm really looking forward to the research and the information that those studies provide so I can better equip myself to help my clients with their nutrition lifestyles. So also, along with coaching nutrition, I love to cook. So I'm actually working on starting up my own meal service business. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully that's up and running later this year. I'm getting some greetings. This is so cool. Oh, nice. People are excited to hear this. This is really great. All right, so I'm going to share a little bit about my background now, my personal journey with nutrition. I'll consider this a condensed version because I want to move on with some other good content. But I think it's important that I share where I started and how I came to eating a plant-based diet. So I can't believe it's already been 7 years since I began working one-on-one with my personal training clients, but it's been 7 years, and I was in that role for 2 years. But I immediately experienced the burden of all of the questions that my clients had about nutrition that I was not qualified to answer. So, when I studied exercise science and even in my personal training certification course, nutrition was minimally spoken about. So, I really did not know how to talk to my clients about nutrition. And I also realized that I wasn't a very good example for them either. So I was sort of faced with this situation where I needed to get real with myself and my nutrition habits. And I really wanted to be of service to my clients because I learned that nutrition was truly the foundation of any fitness program. So um, I definitely did not practice sound nutritional practices, although I had a naturally, and I still have a naturally athletic build. Back then, I was restricting my intake. I was obsessed with the scale, and I didn't care to think about how or what I ate and how those behaviors impacted my overall health. So I essentially was confronted with a need to change. And I wanted to expand my perspective on food so it was healthier. So, and I also wanted to help my clients achieve their fitness goals. Um, so it was actually one of my clients who introduced me to the paleo diet. And I'm sure many, if not most of you, have heard of the paleo diet. And so yeah, this client of mine, she gave me a book to read and I read it and I was obsessed with its content and I just wanted to learn more. So it was really at that point where I learned that I was kind of a nerd when it came to nutrition and I that information that I gathered from that one resource was just life changing. And I decided that I needed to go paleo. So unfortunately, fortunately, paleo taught me how to eat more balanced meals, and I was actually eating a lot more food than I had ever eaten. I definitely experienced positive um, experiences from eating paleo. I was eating more vegetables. I started to cook more. So I was 25 at the time and I had no cooking experience and I was still living in Colorado. So I'd call up my mom and ask her, Mom, how do I bake a chicken? Or how do I make your homemade marinara sauce? Of course, as a paleo eater, I wasn't eating her marinara sauce over pasta, but I found ways to flavor my food and cook from scratch. So eating paleo really helped me to cook for myself. And even now, that's still a really, really important um, part of what I teach my clients is how to take real whole food and cook from scratch. Because when you're handling your own ingredients and making your own recipes, you know exactly what's in your food. So I see some questions here. Um, so the paleo cookbook. So I will share all of the resources I talk about in the presentation in the comments, and that includes, someone asked about a cookbook. So I will share a cookbook, the podcasts I mention, names of the doctors that I reference. Um, so so stay tuned. There's a lot of information that I'll be equipping you guys with. So those are positives of the paleo diet. But unfortunately, I got a little carried away. And I was eating um, in the situation just wasn't balanced. And what I mean by that was I would be so strictly paleo, but then I ended up overeating and even binging on the vilified foods that were not considered paleo, so the do not eat list. I eat in excess, and I kind of developed a sort of disordered way of eating, and I ended up putting on about 25 pounds in 3 years. Now, when I first started eating paleo, I was really mindful of my plate and the portions, and that lasted for a couple of months, and I felt great, and I lost body fat. I didn't have much to lose. Um, but shortly after, shortly after, I just began overeating, and I sort of went out of control. So that's a little bit about, coming to learning how to eat, but then, reaching this point where it wasn't healthy and it wasn't sustainable for me. So I don't disagree with the paleo diet. I think it works for some people, but for me personally, it did not work. Um, and we'll fast forward to about a year and a half ago. Um, I finally struck a balance with plant-based eating, and mostly whole foods. And I say mostly plant-based because I do leave some room for animal-based products. I'm not 100% vegan. I do consider myself a whole foods plant-based eater. And over, so in about 8 months, I lost 15 pounds. And over the last, several months since that first initial 8 months, I've been able to stay weight stable following a plant-based diet. So the vegan diet may not make sense to you. It made zero sense to me when I first kind of stumbled upon it. But the more I explored it, the more I realized I felt better and it was more sustainable for me. And I've been really trying to make it work, and it hasn't been that difficult. And I've been really happy with the results. And I've been able to find a ton of research and science backing the benefits of eating plant-based foods. And we'll get into plant-based sources of protein. And those are really important. But I definitely had a shift in perspective where with the paleo diet, I was eating a lot more meat and I was eating a lot of fat heavy foods. And I truly believe now, in hindsight, all of the protein I was consuming and all of the high fat foods was actually leading me to weight gain. And I kind of think, obviously, because I gained 25 pounds in 3 years. And as I mentioned, I wasn't strictly paleo, but for the most part, I would say 80% I was paleo. And you may have heard of that 80-20 distribution, 80% strict, 20% leniency, and you should be living a healthy, happy eating lifestyle. That just didn't work for me. So I have not been weight stable since before going paleo. So it's the first time in, 5 years that I've been, well, 7 years since I've been weight stable. So with all that being said, interestingly enough, I have been a nutrition coach for the last 4 years. So I do work one-on-one with people to improve their eating lifestyles and to get them to a place of sustainability, just like I have found. And my coaching is really influenced by current relevant scientific studies and literature that I am constantly immersing myself with. So, as I mentioned, I'll be sharing the resources that I've I've read, the doctors that I listen to all the time, so you can help. These could help you make some of your decisions with your dietary habits. So, um, so I want to show you next the motto that really helped me grasp this whole foods plant-based way of eating. I think it's kind of neat how just 7 words sort of changed my perspective and they just resonated with me. And I think they did because of my past experience with paleo. And I was already so, immersed in nutrition and I loved nutritional sciences and I loved, constantly learning the updated information. But this motto, um, it's just simple. It's eat food, not too much, mostly plants. And this was said by Michael Pollan in an article, I believe back in like 2003. I could be wrong on that date. He said this a long time ago, but I recently read that about a year and a half ago. And I sort of changed it up a little bit to read, no, this side. Eat real food, not too much processed, mostly plants. So that's a version that I share with my clients. And so each part of that phrase can be broken up into subtopics. So eat food, eat real food, that's its own subtopic. Not too much, that's its own subtopic. And mostly plants is its own subtopic. So the subtopic I would like to focus on today is the mostly plants aspect. And we're going to get into, again, plant-based sources of protein and fiber. And we're going to come back around to this as well, but I wanted to share here with you the U.S. News' 2020 Best Diet Rankings. So their diet rankings, I mean, these diets go through a number of criteria, and I will share a link to this article. But number 1 diet, Mediterranean diet. Number 2, DASH diet. Number 3, flexitarian. Interestingly enough, what all of these diets have in common is they emphasize plant foods. The Mediterranean diet specifically suggests to lower or reduce or even eliminate red meat, sugar, and saturated fat. So I thought that was pretty interesting to share. And again, I will cycle back to that and I will share the link to that article in the comments. So I would like to get into the subtopic of eating mostly plants, and specifically the benefits of plant-based protein and what they can do for your health. So, benefits of plant-based protein. 1, they can boost your heart health. 2, help manage your weight. 3, lengthen your life. And 4, help the environment. So I'm going to focus on the first 3 and throughout this presentation. And I'll cite some research and some doctors on how I came to those conclusions there about the benefits of plant-based protein. But according to Harvard, according to Harvard Health Publishing, a high protein diet for weight loss or cardiovascular health remain controversial. So people mistakenly think they need to eat an increased amount of animal protein to increase their protein intake. But what I'm going to show you is that it's important to consider what the other components of that food source contain. And that's why I'm going to share my 10 favorite health promoting protein packed plant sources of protein. So we'll get on with it. 1, tempeh, tofu, and soybeans. So tempeh and tofu are made from soy. 100 grams of any of those will provide 10 to 19 grams of protein. I actually have a pack of tempeh here to show you, see what that looks like. And I just want to point this out here. I had no idea what this was up until about 5 months ago. So I literally tried this for the first time 5 months ago. So I sort of tiptoed into the whole plant-based way of eating. So I told you about a year and a half ago is when I decided to shift my perspective, but I didn't fully embrace whole foods plant-based for a while. So it was definitely a tiptoe experience for me. So, and that's what I encourage my clients to do too. If they're not ready to go full blown plant based, they can certainly tiptoe in and reap a lot of the benefits of filling their plates with more plant based foods. So, oh, that's a good question. Issue with adding estrogen with soy products. So I have a couple of fantastic resources that explain the estrogenic effect of soy products that I will definitely share. The doctors deliver that message better than I can, so I will remember to share that information with you, Doreen, and the rest of you in the comments. So, um, so so back to tempeh. Discovered it like 5 months ago, and I consider it to be the chicken of the plant-based proteins. Just because it's plain flavored, it takes on whatever flavor you cook with. Um, Tempeh in itself, it has probiotics because it's a fermented food, and B vitamins, and all three of these sources contain calcium and iron. All right, my next favorite plant-based protein, lentils. So 1 cup of cooked lentils provides 18 grams of protein, and it is actually one of the earliest domesticated crops. So I need to do a little fact checking with this information, but what I've read is that lentils were eaten by our prehistoric ancestors dating back 60,000 years ago. It's pretty incredible. So there are thousands of varieties of lentils. I have a couple of favorites here. These I've gotten at Big Y. Tempeh I've gotten at Big Y and Stop and Shop. These are lentils. They are the poor man's meat. They're super affordable. They last you a while and they fill you up. They're filled with B vitamins, iron, antioxidants, fiber. And I'd like to share with you a little bit about a recent research finding. So, well, not super recent, but in 2013, in an article titled Role of Lentils in Human Health and Nutrition in the Mediterranean Journal of Nutrition and Metabolism, the authors state that lentils are anti-carcinogenic. They help lower blood pressure, and they have a glycemic load lowering effect. Pretty great. All right, next source of plant-based protein, beans. So 1 cup cooked is about 15 grams of protein. Beans also contain fiber, iron, potassium, and phytonutrients. And several studies show diets containing beans can help lower cholesterol, help control blood sugar, lower blood pressure, and reduce belly fat. And here are my favorite beans here. I also buy beans just like I would lentils. You just have to soak and cook them yourself. This is just more convenient. Rinse these and they're ready to eat. Oh, someone asked about how many grams of protein do we need per day? That's a great question. And it kind of just depends on who you are. It's on an individual basis. The RDA recommendations, so the recommendation for dietary intake is 0.8 times kilogram of weight So kind of that's on the lower end of what you would need. And if you're working out, you do need more protein. Um, but that's something that is sort of on an individual basis. And I can share some more information in a link with that. So the next plant-based protein, peas. So 1 cup of peas is 9 grams of protein. So peas aren't paleo, and I missed peas. Peas were like one of my favorite foods growing up, one of my favorite vegetables. I know that might be weird, but I love peas and I love having them back on my plate. Peas also contain fiber, zinc, iron, copper, and B vitamins. I love getting peas like this. So just frozen, and they're great to add to any meal. Love these. All right, the next is quinoa. So some of you may have heard of quinoa. Time to restock my supply here. So quinoa is actually a complete source of protein. It has a full profile of amino acids. 1 cup cooked will give you about 8 grams of protein. Quinoa also contains fiber, iron, and magnesium. All right, another source of protein, soy milk, specifically unsweetened. Just 1 cup provides 7 grams of protein. And soy milk is usually fortified with calcium, vitamin D, and B12. And this is my absolute favorite. So delicious, so smooth. I love this stuff in my coffee. It's really, really good. So that's that. Next up, I do have my oats here. So oats, my breakfast like every morning. So a 1/2 cup cooked, 6 grams of protein, and 4 grams of fiber oats. Another plant-based source of protein, hemp seeds. And I have hemp seeds, here they are. I like to add these occasionally to my oatmeal or as a salad topper, and in some of the recipes that I cook as well. But hemp seeds also contain omega-3s and omega-6, a nice balance of very good. Another chia seeds, 1.25 ounces, 6 grams protein. Also contains, the same amount contains 13 grams of fiber, as well as iron, calcium, selenium, magnesium, omega-3s, and antioxidants. And I got my chia seeds here. Another ingredient I'll add to my oatmeal for protein and for fiber. And the last final, now there are more plant sources of protein, but these are the plant-based sources that have a higher concentration of protein, and are just some that you may already recognize. So nuts, any variety, 1/4 cup, preferably in their raw state. So not covered with a lot of salt or sugar. So a 1/4 cup, 7 to 9 grams of protein. Nuts also contain fiber, iron, calcium, phosphorus, and antioxidants. My preferred way of eating nuts would be peanut butter. And as I mentioned, you don't want to opt for any nuts with a lot of sugar, or even when it comes to peanut butter, added oil. So Teddy's is delicious, and you can get unsalted version too. This is dry roasted peanuts and salt in Teddy's. And I also use PB Fit. So it's peanut butter powder. So the oil is removed. So less, like significantly less fat, but still contains a high amount of protein. So 2 tablespoons is 8 grams of protein. And that is exactly what it says too. So 2 tablespoons, 8 grams of protein. This is 190 calories and this is 70 calories. So typically I like to add this to my oatmeal as well. All right, so those are 10 of my favorite plant-based proteins. Now, including all of these foods provide you protein and additional nutrients, and that's the key too. I mentioned, I listed off vitamins, minerals that these plant-based proteins contain. And the one really essential that I'm going to focus today, really health promoting component is fiber. So, yes, fiber is fabulous. If you're unfamiliar with exactly what fiber is a plant-based nutrient. So, fiber does not exist in animal products. It is only a part of plants, and it's the part that's not digested by your body. And there are two kinds of fiber, soluble and insoluble fiber. And as I have here, fiber aids in healthy digestion, which is important for preventing disease, among many, many other things. So, first kind, soluble fiber, attracts water during digestion and it turns into gel. And this gel slows down your digestion so you feel fuller for longer. Then there's insoluble fiber. So, insoluble adds bulk to your stool and helps food pass through your intestines. So, we want to keep food constantly moving through your intestines. We don't want things to linger for too long. So, that's what insoluble fiber does. All right, now I'm moving to the other benefits of a high fiber diet, and this is according to the Mayo Clinic. So, number one, normalizes bowel movements. So, fiber increases the weight, size, and softness of your stool. Sorry, had to talk about poop. Again, here's more. Number two, maintain bowel health. It's really important because a high fiber diet may lower the risk of developing hemorrhoids and diverticular disease. So that's like the polyps in your colon. We don't want that. Studies have found that a high fiber diet is likely to decrease the risk of colorectal cancer. Another benefit of a high fiber diet, lowers cholesterol levels. So soluble fiber in beans, oats, and flax seeds. So I've shown you beans and oats may help lower total body cholesterol, blood pressure, and inflammation. I have three more. So number four, fiber helps control blood sugar levels. So this is especially important for people with diabetes. Soluble fiber slows absorption of sugar and helps improve blood sugar levels. Insoluble fiber may reduce risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And I want to go back to that soluble fiber slowing absorption of sugar. So this is why it is okay to eat fruit and high fiber starches. So that fiber, well, the sugar in fruit and starches is attached to that fiber. So it slows down absorption of the sugar. Whereas if you were to eat just a sugar like a key, that's going to move fast and it's not connected to any fiber or nutrients for that matter. So you can eat fruit and you can eat grains. They're healthy for you. And that soluble fiber slows down the absorption of your sugar, so your blood sugar is maintained. Another benefit of a high fiber diet, high fiber diets aid in healthy weight. So high fiber foods tend to be more filling than lower fiber foods. So oatmeal, super filling. You can stay full for hours off a bowl of oatmeal. And you can eat less of high fiber foods and stay satisfied. And the last benefit here, fiber helps you live longer. So eating a high fiber diet may reduce your risk of dying from cardiovascular disease and all cancer. So a common experience that my clients go through with increasing the amount of fiber in their diet is they feel a bloatedness and increased gas. So, which is completely normal. So, I recommend if diet intake is on the lower side, you want to add slow. So I like to get my clients upwards to 40, 50, 60 grams of fiber per day. And that could be a lot on someone's digestive system when they're not used to high fiber foods. And essentially what's happening is you're adding a whole new gut flora, so bacteria, to your digestive system that wasn't there before, or maybe was there before, just not as much. And that gas and bloating is caused by the fermentation of that plant bacteria. So, but this is good bacteria in your gut. So, and your body will learn to adapt. So, another crucial thing is to drink water because fiber works best when it's absorbed in water. So, starting off slow, making sure you're getting enough water will help ease the digestive process. Are we still with me? Looks like it. All right, so let's talk more about gut health and the plant-based diet. So talk the benefits of protein or plant-based protein, as well as the importance of fiber. So how does gut health affect the rest of your health? So Dr. Will Bolsewicz is the gut health MD. I recently listened to a podcast that he was a guest on, and I'll share that in the comments. And he said that gut health is plant-based. So this gut health MD, he's actually a gastroenterologist, and that means he's an expert in the digestive system and how it works. And he treats problems and diseases of the digestive system, and he states in this recent podcast that fiber fuels your gut and makes it stronger, giving you optimal gut health, which then radiates your health throughout your body. So this gastroenterologist is a huge, huge promoter of high fiber plant-based nutrition. So fiber feeds your microbiome, and that microbiome is the microorganisms that live in your digestive tract. Your microbiome is connected to your immune system. 70% of your immune cells are in your gut. The microbiome is also connected to your metabolism, so your rate of metabolism, insulin sensitivity. I mentioned how fiber slows down absorption of sugar, your mood, your ability to focus, your health and cognition. So there is a gut-brain relationship. Your microbiome is also connected to hormone balance and regulates our genetics. So each plant feeds specific bacteria in your gut. And when you feed your gut a variety of plant sources, your gut will thrive. As I mentioned, gut health equals plant-based. And fiber is only found in plant-based sources of food. So Dr. Hannah Kaliova is an MD and PhD, and she's a part of the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine in Washington, D.C. Sounds pretty legit. So she shared her recent research findings last September, so September 2019, and this research included 147 participants, and they were involved in a 16-week study. And they were randomized, the participants were randomized into two groups, one low-fat vegan group, so whole foods, plant-based, and the second group with their diet unchanged. So this research dealt specifically with how the vegan diet boosts the gut microbiome. The vegan group saw body weight, fat mass, and visceral fat levels go down. So visceral fat is the fat that hangs out around your center, the center of your body. So with that, the foundational foods of your diet for a healthy gut would be to, number one, eat a wide variety of plants. So that includes vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains, and all of those plant-based protein sources that I also mentioned that do contain fiber. But what we didn't talk about were the vegetables. So you want to definitely include a diversity of vegetables. If you don't like certain vegetables, you don't have to be forced to eat them. Eat the ones you like and explore the wide variety of other vegetables to give your gut that variety of bacteria it needs to thrive. So that's all the information that I have to share about plant-based protein and the importance of fiber in your diet. And as I mentioned, I'll leave references and from literature and the names of my favorite plant-based doctors in the comments below. And I'll also leave my email, just coachmfitness@gmail.com. So you can feel free to email me any questions that you have regarding this presentation and any of the content that I included. I also wanted to say to keep an eye out for more information regarding my next appearance. I'm actually going to be sharing more cooking tips and recipes. So the next book live that I do, I'll actually be in my kitchen preparing snacks that you will actually receive the ingredient list to, so you can prepare with me. Now, these snacks that I have to show you, they're actually going to be cooking required snacks, and they'll include some of my favorite things like chickpeas, and I think what else? Oh, oatmeal, and doing overnight oats and utilizing some of these healthy fats and fiber and plant-based protein sources like chia seeds, flax seeds, also things that are just inexpensive to buy. So another part of going plant-based that I noticed was I am not spending as much money at the grocery store. So my grocery bill is less unless I get a little explorative. So unless I decide to try a bunch of new things, but I try to keep my excess shopping to a minimum, especially right now. But something like these beans are organic chickpeas. These are on sale 10 for 10 at Stop and Shop. So I didn't get 10 cans, but I grabbed a bunch. And a lot of the items I had mentioned, lentils are the poor man's source of protein, plant-based source of protein. So super affordable. There's a question about the seeds being shelled. Which seeds are you referring to? The chia seeds? All right, so with that, I hope that you something today and that you continue to explore the topic of plant-based nutrition. And thank you so much for being here. And I will see you back sometime next week. Thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the day. And again, thank you, Shannon, and thank you for having me on today.